Chapter 6, text number 5. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Are you going to repeat or not?
Yes. Yes.
Udarat Atmanatmanam.
Udarat Atmanatmanam.
Udarat Atmanatmanam.
Udarat Atmanatmanam.
Natmanam avashyate. Atmanam avasadaya.
Atmanam avasadaya.
Atmanam avasadaya.
Atmanam avasadaya.
Atmaivyatmano buddhir.
Atmavyatmano buddhir.
Atmaivyatmano buddhir.
Atmavyatmano buddhir.
Atmaivyatmanaha.
Atmaiva vipuratmanaha. Atmaiva vipuratmanaha.
Udarat Atmanatmanam.
Udarat Atmanatmanam.
Natmanam avasanaya.
Atmanam avasadaya.
Atmaiva yatmano bandhu.
Atmaiva atmano baldur. Atmaiva vipuratmanaha.
Please repeat. Udara.
Udara.
One must deliver.
One must deliver.
Atmana.
Atmanam.
By the mind.
By the mind.
Atmanam.
Atmanam.
The conditioned soul.
Conditioned soul.
Na.
Na.
Never.
Never.
Atmanam.
Atmanam.
The conditioned soul.
The conditioned soul.
Avasadayat.
Avasadayat.
Put into deep degradation.
Put into degradation.
Atma.
Atma.
Mind.
Mind.
Eva.
Eva.
Certainly.
Certainly.
Indeed.
Indeed.
Atmana.
Atmana.
The conditioned soul.
Of the conditioned soul.
Bandhu.
Bandhu.
Friend.
Friend.
Atma.
Atma.
Mind.
Mind.
Eva.
Eva.
Certainly.
Certainly.
Vipu.
Vipu.
Enemy.
Enemy.
Atmana.
Atmana.
The conditioned soul.
Of the conditioned soul.
Translation. One must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is a friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The word Atman denotes body, mind, and soul, depending on different circumstances. In the yoga system, the mind and the conditioned soul are especially important. Since the mind is the central point of yoga practice, Atma refers here to the mind. The purpose of the yoga system is to control the mind and to draw it away from the attachment to sense objects. It is stressed herein that the mind must be so trained that it can deliver the conditioned soul from the mere omniscience. In material existence, one is subjected to the influence of the mind and the senses. In fact, the pure soul is entangled in the material world because the mind is involved with the false ego, which desires to lord it over material nature. Therefore, the mind should be trained so that it will not be attracted by the glitter of material nature. And in this way, the conditioned soul may be saved. One should not degrade oneself, by attraction to sense objects. The more one is attracted by sense objects, the more one becomes entangled in material existence. The best way to disentangle oneself is to always engage the mind in Krishna consciousness. The word "he" is used for emphasizing this point, that one must do this. It is also said, Mana eva manushanam karanam banda mukshayo bandayad vishaya sango muktya nirvishayam nama mana. For mind is the cause of bondage, mind is the cause of liberation. Mind absorbed in sense objects is the cause of bondage, and mind detached from the sense objects is the cause of liberation. Therefore, the mind, which is always engaged in Krishna consciousness, is the cause of supreme liberation.
Chaitanyamanoishtam sthapitam yena bhutale swayam rupa kadamaham dadati swapadamtikam vandeham shakapataruvyasya kripasindhushaeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
There's something up here. How would you feel if you looked into a mirror one day and saw someone else there? You would have a big surprise, obviously. And that is what it's like with the mind. In this verse it explains that there are different atmas. One is the atma, the soul, the real self. And there's also the atma of the body and atma of the mind. And in another verse it's explained that there is this higher self and there's a lower self, and one must control the lower self by the higher self, the soul. So this is one of the main feats of any yoga system, whatever the yoga system is. One of the main feats of that yoga system, and we also have it in our Bhakti yoga system, is somehow we have to be able to control our mind. We have to differentiate the mind from the heart. And it's a very major accomplishment within Krishna consciousness if we are able to do that. We know that Arjuna himself declared to Krishna that you've asked me to control the mind, but the mind, to control the mind is like trying to stop the raging wind. So therefore, he asked Krishna, how it's possible that I can do that? And Krishna, of course, he explained that you should engage in service to me. It should be dedicated service, unmotivated, undivided. Gradually, step by step, as we move along in our spiritual life, we see that the mind then becomes controlled. When a disciple asks Prabhupada, how do I control my mind? Prabhupada said, you cannot control your mind. If Arjuna could not control his mind, then what to speak of our past? But he said, chant the Hare Krishna mantra, and the Hare Krishna mantra, or any aspect of devotional service will control the mind for you. So this is a system of Bhakti Yoga, that we're engaged in devotional service in order to purify our senses and control the mind. So the mind has to become peaceful and the senses illuminated with knowledge. And in that mood of devotional service, things become much more easier. Now it's quite difficult because when we attempt to do anything, especially chanting our japa in the morning, we may last for 5 minutes at the most without the mind coming in and nagging us. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. It's like a washing machine. Yeah. Washing machine is going like this and like this. You try chanting your japa in front of a washing machine, and it's not possible. And therefore, this is the objective we have every morning when we go and sit and chant, with the intention of hearing the holy name, but instead we have to hear the dictates of the uncontrolled mind. There's a nice story in this connection. There was once an elephant. He was having breakfast, taking some leaves from a tree. And he was very peacefully having breakfast. And one fly came along and started buzzing in his ear. And the elephant flapped his ears to usher the fly away. The fly went away. And within a short period of time, it came right back. Right back to the same position in the ear.
Microphone's doing the same
At
thing.
the mic. Use your. Take them out.
Yes.
Came back buzzing. Again, the elephant flapped his ear to shoo the fly away. But in a few moments, it came back again. Have you ever had that? The fly comes on your hand and you shoo it away and it comes right back to the same place. How intelligent they are. They insist on annoying you. It wouldn't be so bad if it went to the other arm. Or up here or something. It's amusing. he comes back, same place. So anyway, the elephant said to the fly, "Why are you so restless?" And the fly said, "Yeah, I can't help it. Whatever I see, whatever I smell, wherever I go, I just can't help it. I go from one place to the next, do this and do that, and I cannot sit still." And he asked the elephant, "Why are you so peaceful? How come you're so peaceful?" So the elephant said, "Well, yes, I'm taking breakfast now, and that's all I'm doing. I'm not thinking of anything else. I'm in full concentration in what I'm doing right now." This way he explained how when you've got the mind controlled, you have all the senses perfectly aligned too. So it's of paramount importance to us that we not become complacent. Don't give up hope just because we're finding sometimes devotional service a little difficult. It will be difficult. In fact, sometimes it is explained that devotional service will get more difficult and becoming more easy. It gets more difficult before it gets easy. And it's explained just like when you're cleaning a room. When you clean a room, let's say you're going to spring clean an apartment building that has furniture and pictures. So you bring all the pictures down, the furniture in the middle of the floor. Within 10 minutes, your room is in the worst mess than when you started. But does the housewife say, "Forget it"? No, the housewife knows, no, this is the cleaning process. This is the process, and I will continue until I finish. So don't be disheartened if it gets worse before it gets better. It is the cleaning process of Krishna consciousness. So let's just analyze a little bit the mind. It's explained that the mind is the second voice. It's the second voice, not the first voice. The first voice is the soul, the Atma, the soul. In fact, the soul is very much, no doubt, enjoying being a devotee right now. We can imagine, if we take things from the viewpoint of the spirit soul, and how long we've been sitting in the lap of Maya, and suddenly we were taking up Krishna consciousness after so long. We don't know how long, but it is a long time. We celebrate birthdays. How old are you? I am 13 years old today. And how old are you?
50.
I am 50 years old today. And anyone else? Who's
34.
I am 34 years old today. And we celebrate. We're celebrating. We have usually a cake, some candles, and we celebrate our birthdays. But are we 34 or 25 or 17 years old? More like 1,000,000 years old. We're 1,000,000 years old today. Are we going to celebrate that? Are you going to get a cake and find 1,000,000 candles? Because that is actually the reality. We're even 1,000,000 years is probably being very kind. Could be 2 million, it could be 3 million, it could be even more. How embarrassing that we've had to sit on Maya's lap, the personification of the illusory energy, and engage in her dictates, accompanied with the mind. The mind is, of course, the cause of all this, because it's the mind that's been dictating and making us rotate birth after birth after birth after birth after birth. So you can imagine suddenly the soul coming in contact with Krishna consciousness, the association of devotees and deities, and kirtan and holy name. And seeing our life change so drastically in a very positive way. So for the soul, it's like a party. It's like a big party, the best party you've ever been to. But for the mind, that's not a party for the mind. In fact, the mind, the very nature of the mind is just like that fly. It's running here and running there. It doesn't want to be controlled. It doesn't want to be trained. It doesn't want to be good. It wants to be sometimes good, but mostly bad. And therefore, very distracted. So we call this the second voice. The first voice is ourself. What our heart is saying. Our second voice is the mind. So we have to distinguish from these two voices. What is the heart saying and what is the mind saying? The more we're in our heart, the more we're out of our mind. And sometimes people say, hey, you Hare Krishna, are you out of your mind? And you can say, well, yeah, I'm just working on it. Because we don't want to be in our mind. We want to be in our hearts. This is our objective. But that second voice is saying, go over there and enjoy this. Go there and enjoy that. Yeah? And it's saying it to the first voice. The first voice is saying, I want to be a devotee. I want to be Krishna conscious. I want to chant my 16 rounds. That's the first voice. But the second voice is trying to induce you to take up some practice of sense gratification. So the second voice generally wins over to the first voice. This is actually explained in the Bhagavad Gita. There are a couple of verses in the Bhagavad Gita which explain this. How, while contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them. And from such attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger arises. So this is the second voice. Please contemplate the objects of your senses on this, what I'm showing you, and develop some attachment for it. This is the mind saying this. See this and go there and enjoy. So then the next verse, 263 says, from anger delusion arises, and from delusion bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. So that's when the second voice becomes the first voice and the consequences of that. When the mind becomes captivated by some unhealthy fancy and wants us to act it out, it initially has to speak in the second person. Why don't you do that? You will enjoy it. You need a break. You need some fun. At this stage, we sense that something within us is prompting us to indulge in lust or pride or anger or some similar unwholesome desire. Though the voice may be insistent, we still have the awareness that it is different from us. The mind is still speaking in the second person. This is our first objective. If we can, when the mind starts to dictate, first of all recognize that it is a second voice, it is not us saying it. We must distinguish from what we are saying and what the mind is saying. This is the perfection of yoga. It is not easy. Mostly the mind wins over. And therefore we have to constantly practice this particular workshop. Recognizing what is the mind saying and what is the consequences if I listen to the mind. There's another example of then you've heard of a ventriloquist? Ventriloquist has a little doll or puppet next to him, and he's speaking without moving his lips, but he's moving the puppet's mouth. It's the same. It is very cleverly done, but you assume that it's the puppet that is speaking, but actually the puppet is not speaking. It's the ventriloquist that is speaking. So, Prabhupada gave us the formula for success within Krishna consciousness, and that is to fully engage the mind 100% in devotional practices. I mean, actually in the early days, we didn't really have very much time to get on the mental platform. Prabhupada gave us so much service. He engaged us in such a way that there was absolutely no time to be thinking of ourselves and whether we should be doing this or whether we should not do it. I remember in my very early days in London, we would get up, Mangalarti, we chanted our japa, and a Srimad Bhagavatam class, we took breakfast, and then at 10 o'clock we went on to Harinam. And Oxford Street is the longest street in London. It takes a couple of hours to go from the temple right down to the end of Oxford Street and back to the temple. So we were back at 12 o'clock. At 1 o'clock we took lunch. And then again at 3 o'clock we went out and did the same thing, Harinam, up, down, back at 5 o'clock. Got ready for the evening program, which was Arati again and the Bhagavad Gita class, and we sat and drank some hot milk, took a rest. Full day. Complete package. Sometimes Prabhupada mentions about serving Krishna 24 hours a day. I always used to wonder, what does that mean? How is that possible? How is it possible we can serve 24 hours a day? And the explanation of that is that by the end of the day, because you've done so much service, as soon as you hit your pillow, you're asleep, and that sleep is devotional service. Because you have to rest in order to do your service the next day. So this is, in those days there was absolutely no time to get on the mental platform. They say an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So you don't have any service. If you don't have any devotional service, then the devil mind will give you some service to do, which will not be very helpful. So it's What's the word? Imperative.
Imperative.
I forgot my English. Imperative to engage in devotional service on a day-to-day basis. And Prabhupada said if you can chant your 16 rounds by 10 o'clock in the morning, you'll have no anxiety throughout the day. Meaning to say that just even our 16 rounds alone, even though, okay, it's not jam-packed with devotion, but at least we're trying our best. We try our best, try our hardest. Don't give in to the dictates of the mind. That the mind will say, you don't need to do this. This is fanaticism. I mean, even devotees sometimes say this. Someone who's on the fringe of believing the society will come to a sincere devotee and say, my dear Prabhu, you don't need to chant 16 rounds. That's just being a little bit too fanatic. You don't need to rise early. But Prabhupada is saying, if you can chant your 16 rounds by 10 o'clock in the morning, you'll have no anxiety throughout the day. Which means to say, if you have still rounds during the day, you're in anxiety. Oh, I still got my 8 rounds to do, or whatever it is. But if you've done them by the beginning of the day, then whatever you do throughout the day will be done much more easier and with a better consciousness. What does the 16 rounds do? It lifts you. It raises your consciousness above the free modes of material nature. The modes are pushing us. They're like waves in an ocean. Sometimes we're up, sometimes we're down. Sometimes we're below the waves, sometimes we're above the waves. But it's a precarious situation. Lord Chaitanya is so kind. He's picked us up on his boat of devotional service. He's picked us up on his boat of devotional service, and that boat is moving. It is moving towards Krishna. As long as we're on the boat doing our service, that boat is moving. You may not feel like it's moving. Sometimes that's one of our difficulties in practicing Krishna consciousness. We're wondering, again, on the mental platform, is this really working? It doesn't seem to be working. I've been practicing for 8 years and I'm still not in ecstasy. Well, you may need to go a little bit more than 8 years. If you spent 2 million years in the lap of Maya, then at least spend 30 years, at least 30 years. I don't know if this statement is true, but I did hear that Prabhupada had said that it took him 30 years to perfect his japa. I'm not sure whether that's a bona fide statement, but I can safely say that it took me 30 years to have a little bit of taste for the holy name. I'm being very frank with you. It's not a quick fix. Lord Chaitanya has already done his quick fixing just by giving us the holy name. That's the quick fix. Because otherwise, in other ages, you would have to do other things. Like standing on your one leg with your hands in the air for 1,000 years without eating or drinking. How long will you last? So it's already a quick fix. Just all we have to do is chant 16 rounds, follow the 4 regulated principles, and engage in some devotional service. That's all. Try to involve others too. This is all we have to do. One time, godbrother of mine, Krishna Maharaj, he asked Prabhupada, but Prabhupada, you're sending your devotees out on book distribution and preaching in different places. And surely because it's Kali Yuga, there'll be some contamination while we're out there intermingling with the fallen souls. That at the time of death, maybe we'll not be ready. We're not pure enough or ready for going back home, back to Godhead. There'll be some deficiency on our part in order for us to do that. And Prabhupada's reply was, you just take that chance for Krishna. You take that chance. And if you've been sincere, even if there's some imperfection at the time of death, if you have been sincere, Sri Gauratai will personally come and enter into the recesses of your mind and heart and drag you back home, back to God. One time he was giving a class in Hyderabad in a big pandal, and suddenly one gentleman stood up and said, "What about overpopulation?" You know, he thought he had some point to make. Prabhupada gave a wonderful class, and he had said, "Oh, what about overpopulation?" And usually this kind of question, Prabhupada would reply in a very simple way. I'm traveling all over the world from my plane window. I see so much land vacant. What is the question of overpopulation? But in this particular instance, he said something very different, very interesting. He said, yes, there is overpopulation. There's overpopulation because no one is going back home, back to Godhead. He said there's no upward mobility, the system's jammed up. And therefore this Krishna consciousness is giving facilities for everyone to go back home, back to Godhead. So this is our great fortune. Simply have faith that the system process actually works. Don't sit around and say, poor me, poor me, poor me. I'm doing my British acting now. We Brits, we do a lot of acting, right? Actually, I don't know if I can do it.
You need a British audience?
I'm always embarrassed in front of my senior godbrothers. When they're not around, I let loose. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not seeing the godbrothers.
You are, Maharaj. Anyway, the point is that we sometimes try to look for a good excuse. Well, the mind again looks for some excuse why I should not be serving, why I should not be enthusiastic, why I should not be happy. Prabhupada said, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. But why we're not happy? Only because of the mind again. Saying, okay, now you should say, poor, poor me. I am from America, and I am also from, what's the name of this town?
Tobacco.
And I am from Tobacco. Poor me. No. You have to see things very, very positively. What you may be pondering what you haven't achieved yet in your Krishna consciousness, because it is the heights are very high. We have a lot of work to do to get the attention of Shri Gauratai and our spiritual masters. We have maybe a lot of work to do on that. And like I said, the tape is not over a short period, it's over, you can even say, a lifetime perfection. So we sometimes become impatient and we think that the process is not working. And this is my excuse for not continuing. But actually, the real, the essence, what I've seen of Krishna consciousness is that the more difficulties you have, the better it is. Because the more you will tend to take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. If everything's going to be always so wonderful, then we can very easily become complacent. But if there's some hardships, then those hardships in themselves can be opportunities for taking shelter of Krishna. So instead of seeing what we haven't achieved, which is the tendency of our mind, you know, okay, you've been chanting so long, but you have no taste, you have no enthusiasm. Why should you continue? What is the reason? Give me one good reason why you should carry on. And the one good reason is that see what you have achieved. See what Prabhupada has given us. You know, last year we were celebrating the 50th anniversary of ISKCON. And many devotees made different offerings in appreciation of all the gifts that Prabhupada has given us. And if you actually sit down and really think about how many gifts he has given us, you know, there really is no room for complaining. We should be very grateful, very appreciative, and that alone should be the impetus for us to continue. And even besides that, if I compare myself back in the early days, 1972, to what you have today, we had no books. We had one Bhagavad Gita, it was printed by the Macmillan Company, and it was an abridged version. We had some magazines, and we had a Sri Ishapanishad, and then some other books were just coming out. The Krishna book was there. That's all we had in the way of literature. Oh, of course we had the Srimad Bhagavatam. And, but there wasn't very many books. Nowadays you have a library of literature. So I could complain, wow, you've got it better than I did. But is there any difference really? No. Bhaktisiddhanta said that if all the books in the world were destroyed by fire and only one book remained, which was the Bhagavad Gita, there would be no loss to the world. So just the fact that we have Bhagavad Gita, it was actually everything. But even so, now you have more. In those days we didn't have festivals. You were explaining about my first Mayapur festival. That was not 74, it was 73. And there were 200 devotees at the Mayapur festival. The year before that, there were 20 devotees. You know, each year it's been escalating. Now the parikrama is divided into 4 groups. There's so many devotees going on the Mayapur Navadvip parikrama. There were no festivals. There were just the Vrindavan and Mayapur festival. That's the festivals we had. And as I say, not so many devotees, and not so many facilities. The prasadam was very simple. Yeah. Well, I'm just trying to compare what you have today with what we had in those early days. So in those early days, we were satisfied with whatever we were given. But there could have been some room for complaints, but we never complained, we just accepted. Whatever we got was, not sufficient and made us happy, kept us satisfied, and engaged in Christian service. So, I want to just read one song which a godbrother of mine has written. It's a Nam rock song. I hope you don't think that I am too out of line. But I just want to show you we can have a good time. You don't have to drive a fancy car to have a good time. You don't have to be a Hollywood star to have a good time. You don't have to own a house or a yacht. You can be satisfied with what you've already got and have a good time. You don't have to have a PhD to have a good time. You don't have to have a 20/20 vision to see what I mean and have a good time. You don't have to wear no fancy clothes. Just be yourself and heaven knows you'll have a good time. There's just one thing I want you to try. Just this one time before you're going to lay down and die. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
And have a good time. Hare Krishna.